Hi and welcome. Thank you so much for joining the Epic Daily Ritual. We will get started here momentarily as soon as I silence this. Um, anyway, sorry about that. Uh, so thank you so much for being here. Really excited to get going on the Epic Daily Ritual. This is such a powerful workshop because it really highlights the way that we can change our life by changing the way that we start and end our day. So it's a really, really powerful workshop. Taking these actions has transformed my life, which is why I want to share this with folks and think it's so incredibly important. So I hope you enjoy today's workshop. Typically, we go, you know, around an hour and a half or so. I actually have an appointment today, which is so very rare, but I couldn't change this. So we're going to keep this to just about an hour. Um, Chad, of course, can stay on afterwards if you do have any additional questions or have anything you want to go through or learn some more about some of the other things we're doing in Inspiration Nation. But let's go ahead and get going. I'm really glad that you're here and that you made the time for yourself today. And while we're waiting, others will continue to join in. I'm so glad you asked that, uh, Mindy Rose. Yes, I usually mention that up front. So thank you so much for asking that. Yes, we always make the recording available, but when we make the recording available, you'll usually get that, within about 24 hours, either later today or early tomorrow. And with that, we also provide the slides that you see here and also the resources that we mentioned. So we will have some additional resources for you that come out too. So thank you so much for asking that early on. I usually have that in my announcements. And we do these workshops every Thursday. So we have a different one each week. So yeah, like Chad mentioned, you can see them on YouTube as well. But we have been rotating and creating more workshops to provide more content for Inspiration Nation. We also have a Friday community happy hour, so I hope you can join us for that. The community happy hour on Fridays at noon is really just a way to close your week strong, celebrate our wins together, and then also go through uh, our intention for the next week. So set our intention for the next week. It's a great way to come together with like-minded folks and close your week strong and go confidently into the weekend, knowing that you have your intention set for the next week. So if you can just drop in the chat, maybe how did you feel when you woke up this morning? Take just a moment. You can throw it right in there. Uh, how did you feel when you woke up this morning? And let me think about that because I usually meditate and come up with, um, let me type in mine. Mine is promoted. Promoted. Did I spell that right? Maybe. Uh, felt like oh no, Mindy. Well, I'm glad you're here, Mindy. We're gonna change that and make sure it's better right now. So, uh, yeah. Anyone else? How did you feel when arriving today, or really, how did you feel when you woke up this morning? Um, I said promoted because I was just listening to this book, The Science of Scaling by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Um, and his follow-up audiobook it's called Time is a Tool, where he says, you're either promoted or exposed in life. And I was sort of going back and forth with where I am right now. And, for those of you who've been on other workshops, you know that I teach yin yoga. Um, and with that, I also look at the dark and the light and the yin and the yang of life. I felt both promoted and exposed. I mean, exposed for mistakes I've made uh, in the past, but it's allowed me to learn and get promoted and keep moving with Inspiration Nation and be here to help inspire you guys. So let's get into the epic daily ritual. Sorry about that back pain. I guess I like that you're measuring the gain and not the gap. Another one of Ben Hardy's books, but measuring the gap and the gain. You're measuring the gain that it got you up and early uh, and going, even though you had some back pain. I love that positive attitude. Thank you, Chad. Um, Felt well until your husband needed help with tax form. Oh no. Yeah, I'm dealing with that. I reached out to my accounting firm they were going to file an extension. I asked if we could get it done earlier than that because I need it for mortgage. Um, Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Mindy, awesome. Well, you're in the right place. You have joined Inspiration Nation just by being here today. You will feel much better. Join Community Happy Hour tomorrow as well. And wake up, M. Ness. Wake up. Wake up. You don't want to go back to sleep. You want to get inspired. So let's do that. First, hopefully, this doesn't put you to sleep. We're going to take just a moment to get grounded. What I mean by that is we're going to take just a moment, about 1 to 2 minutes right here to get fully settled in here now. Now, please, while you're doing this, if you can make just a couple minutes to be here now, to be fully present for yourself, fully engaged with everyone here for the workshop today. So by doing that, if you can, close your eyes or drop your gaze down low. No phone, no email, no texting, no social media, no doom scrolling. Just be here now. Close your eyes or drop your gaze down low and just notice your breath. You might feel the cool air coming in and then the warmer air going out. And maybe you notice your lungs expanding and contracting, or maybe you just notice the air coming in and out at the base of your nostrils or in that little space between the bottom of your nose and the top of your lip. Just focus on the breath. Now, thoughts may come in, but you just want to let them go, let them float by and return to the breath. So I'm going to be quiet here and let you take just 1 minute to focus on your breath. If you can, try to inhale fully and exhale completely. Notice the rhythm of the breath, just an inhale followed by an exhale. Like I said, try to take deeper breaths, inhaling fully and exhaling completely. All right, now when you're ready, you can begin to let your eyes flutter a little bit, be fully present. You can also keep your eyes closed. We're just going to take 3 deep breaths to clear out some of that still air. Again, allowing us to inhale fully and exhale completely. So take a deep breath in through your nose and then hold it at the top and sigh it out. And we're going to do 2 more of those. Deep breath in through the nose, hold it, and then sigh it out. And last one, we're going to take big deep breath in and hold it. So take as many little sips of air into your lungs as you can. Deep breath in, hold it, and then let it go. Let it all go. Be fully present here. Let's form your epic daily ritual. Now, we're going to design something that's deeply personal. This is your epic daily ritual. This is going to be a whole new way of living for you. It's a simple morning and evening practice that helps you start your day with purpose and end it with clarity. Now, wherever you are right now, just notice that breath that you were just taking. Take a long breath in through your nose and then a long breath out through your mouth. And you just, by doing that, you just intentionally created more space in your chest, less stress and anxiety, more calm. You always breathe, right? Or at least I hope you do. If not, you may be a zombie. But you always breathe, but you just did so intentionally and you created more space. So, what I want you to recognize in that analogy is that this workshop is not about doing more. It's about creating more space for the things in your life that make you feel like your true self so that you can live with more intention. with more clarity, and with more presence every single day. And this is going to make you more productive, happier, more successful, more loving in your relationships. Nothing here needs to be perfect. I don't want you to put pressure on yourself. Like I said, you always breathe and you don't think about it. But what you did was you just were taking your breaths intentionally. I want you to set intention to the things that you do in the morning and the evening, meaning let's call it the first hour you're awake and the first or the last hour before you go to sleep. And if an hour isn't available to you, maybe a little bit less time. But I want you to remember, nothing here needs to be perfect. Nothing needs to be copied from anyone else. This is about you. I'm going to give you some suggestions and some things that work for me, but you're going to figure out what works for you. So I want you to just, if you can, you can close your eyes like you did a moment ago, if you'd like, or just pause for a moment and ask yourself, what do I want more of in my days right now? What do you want more of in your day? Take just a moment and ponder that. And then, maybe share that in the chat if you'd like. You know, I, But I'd like more focused time just on my priorities, meaning weeding out anything else that is not just the most essential thing that gets me to my big goals as quickly as possible. Oh, Alexandra's with me. Thank you, sister. More productivity. All right. I actually kind of thought I won't say that yet. I'll let some other people. Yes, joy. I feel that. I just had a conversation with someone we work with on projects who said that they were looking for some joy, meaning that they might move forward on a project if they were feeling more joy. Um, Enjoying my life. Deborah, good to see you. I didn't see that you joined. Less procrastination. Yeah, I mean that kind of goes with that focus. Um, that I was talking about as well, Alexandra. Yeah, I love those. I was going to say this a moment ago. Um, Creating time despite most time caregiving. Yeah, I get that. I mean, that's tough. We've had this conversation on past workshops about people who are doing a lot of caregiving. Um, and it is a real challenge. Um, I went through that when my wife ruptured her Achilles, and I've got 7 kids, so I do a lot of caregiving. Not necessarily that people are sick all the time, although it seems like someone always is. But anyway, yeah, I feel that, Mindy. I actually thought that most people would say things like, more peace, more clarity. It really looks like we're looking for more focus and more productivity. So I like to see when we come together with a theme. Now, certainly joy in life and enjoying life, those are themes as well. But now I want to talk about, as we really get going here, why rituals matter. And what's the difference between a ritual and a routine? This is the epic daily ritual. This isn't the, better routines. This is a big deal. This is your life. This is how to make your life absolutely epic. I mean, we used to ask people when we interviewed them for my old company, like, what would make your life absolutely epic?
Right there.
You want to go through life not just going through the motions, or like I say, I think I said this in my book. Um, don't go through the motions at work. Make your emotions work. You want to make it absolutely epic. Most people already have routines. I mean, things that we do at certain times every single day. Maybe you wake up and you make coffee. Maybe you spend your lunch break scrolling social media. Maybe you listen to the same radio station on the way home from work. Routines are only repeated actions, and they're also often done accidentally. Product of our busy lives rather than our own desire or real intention. They're just taking us again through the motions. They can be positive, negative, or maybe even provide nothing at all to you. A routine is functional. A routine is functional. A ritual is intentional. A ritual has meaning. It says, this time matters. I matter. So you can start going through whole days where you are fully engrossed in your epic rituals. So your time truly matters. And I'm in the midst of reading. Mindy, I was about to say this a minute ago, and I think I mentioned earlier. I'm reading this book called, which I think it's just an audio book, um, called "Time is a Tool" by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. You may want to read it. It's a whole new concept of time. That by creating deadlines that are much shorter, we find much more clarity and focus. Usually we put things off and we'll get to it someday. Um, yeah, read the book. Time is a tool, and I guarantee you, Alexandra, that you are not the worst. You are not the worst. There are definitely people worse. So stop beating yourself up. You got to work on positive self talk. Remember, look in the mirror, say I love you, and then go out in the world and spread that light. So that time matters. Your time matters. The beginning and end of your day are powerful because they shape how you enter the world and how much you carry into tomorrow. When mornings are rushed, the day feels reactive. When evenings lack closure, your nervous system never really shuts off. You're still just, your mind is racing and you feel that tingling through your body and the anxiety and tightness in your chest. And you carry your burdens with you into tomorrow. This is why we bookend the day with rituals and purpose. In the morning, we want, to be grounded, clarity and alignment, grounding, clarity and alignment. In the evening, we want to reflect, release, and prepare, meaning prepare for settled sleep, prepare yourself for the next day. So, yeah, mornings are, grounding, clarity, alignment. In the evenings, you'll reflect, release, and prepare for the next day. And this isn't self-care as indulgence. This is mature self-leadership. This is mature self-leadership, taking responsibility for your life and leading your life. This is you taking ownership of your precious time and energy and setting yourself up for success. I mean, your attention is so valuable. Your attention is so valuable. And, that's why people pay, I don't even know how, $5-10 million for 30-second Super Bowl ads, because your attention is expensive. Your attention is valuable and everyone's vying for it. But you've got to take your attention back. This is taking ownership of your precious time and energy and your attention and setting yourself up for daily success. So if you can, grab a pen and a piece of paper. Like I always say, grab something to write with and something to write on. And what are the first three things? Journal this real quick. And we're going to go a little bit quicker today. Like I said, I don't usually have a time constraint, but today I do. So what are the first three things you do when you wake up? What are the first three things you do when you wake up? And I will get mine in there as well. All right, take a few seconds. Now, I have in mind, and that's great. Bathroom light stretches, good on the stretches, Chad. Yeah, I mean, it's good. You should do at least an hour before you start emailing Alexandra. What I do is I say to myself, it's going to be an amazing day as soon as my feet hit the floor, or even while I'm in bed before I even get out of bed. I walk into the bathroom, lock eyes with myself, look in the mirror, and say, I love you. With those two practices that take just a couple minutes, I've already started my day with great intention and set the tone for the day. And then I meditate for about a half hour and journal. And I put those together because I usually journal, as soon as I meditate, what came up for me. Zooms. Yeah, nice, Mindy. Um, although you may not have to look at the daily schedule if you're doing the PM journal we're going to discuss in a little bit. Um, yeah, absolutely. All right, great. Yeah, I thank God. Absolutely wonderful, Deborah. Always looking up to our higher power. So let's talk now about ways you can design your epic morning ritual. And like I said before, do what works well for you. These are, some of the things that I do, but the point is to design your ritual. The purpose of rituals um, is to give yourself the space you need for living at your best. And, MNES, inconsistency, if you create this daily ritual, oh, it's going to just open up for you what you're capable of with that consistency. Now, do I do this all the rituals every single morning? No. Occasionally, I miss one or two, but most days, I've developed it where I'm sticking to this ritual. And, the purpose of the rituals is to give you the space you need to live at your best. The goal of the morning ritual is not productivity. I'm not talking here about getting up and starting to work. You will become far more productive once you start doing this, but that's after you've started your ritual with intention. It's putting presence before input or even output. Most mornings for a lot of folks begin with phones, news, messages, other people's priorities. And your ritual creates a buffer between you and the noise of the world. Think of your morning ritual as a way to say, I decide how this day begins. Our days start feeling so out of control. And, I just thought popped in my head about what Deborah just said, about it, invoking the higher power. And this isn't necessarily espousing any specific religion, but I was listening to a Wayne Dyer speech. If you've ever read The Power of Intention or other books by Wayne Dyer, he's been one of the biggest inspirations for me. He has passed away a few years ago, but wrote a ton of books, from the 70s through early 2000s. Wayne Dyer was giving a speech that I listened to where he said, do you want to be the type of person that wakes up and says, good morning, God, or good God, morning? It's the same words. It's just a different approach. You get to choose. Your rituals help you choose and create that buffer between you and the noise of the world. It puts you in control of how your day begins. So the best rituals are simple, repeatable, and grounded in your natural energy or in your natural state. Your natural state of life, your natural energy, meaning, feeling alive and energized, not drained and depleted. And today we're going to start you off, I mentioned these already, with two habits that you can do in the first 2 minutes you're awake and set you up for success each and every day. The first habit is, as soon as your feet hit the floor, say to yourself, it's going to be an amazing day. That's it. Say to yourself, it's going to be an amazing day. Doing this, you already are in the right frame of mind before you even see yourself with love in the mirror, which we'll talk about next. By expressing this, you're already grateful for the new day. You're ready to create what you intend to create and excited to start your day with intention. You set the course for the day and made a better life for yourself before you've done anything else. I know I'm going to mention this over and over. Do not look at your phone for the first hour of the day, if at all possible. Maybe you turn off an alarm, but do not unlock the phone and start looking at messages or apps or anything. Maybe you set up a timer while you meditate, or, maybe you play some music while you work out, but do not get into the phone or the computer for the first hour of your awake. This is powerful, meaning saying to yourself, it's going to be an amazing day. You're now being proactive at the very first step of your day. You declared how this day was going to go. You didn't open up your phone and start having the world tell you how the day is going to go. You're in control of your life. There's nothing that says that there's nothing so pressing as long as we know that, our family, our kids, or everyone we love are safe and okay, there's nothing that you need to do. And if you get up, too late and you got to start working, then get up a hour earlier. For years, I was on the hamster wheel like a lot of folks, just going through the motions. But in 2018, I decided I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I have a complete awakening. I decided to work on improving myself and growing again. And I read the book I just mentioned, The Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer, who recommends to look into a mirror, make eye contact with yourself, and say, I love you. Like, okay, that sounds kind of weird, but I'll try it. So it sounds easy enough, right? But it feels a little awkward at first. I've always been a happy, loving person, but like many of us, I'm also very critical of myself. So when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see love. I saw all the things I was falling short of or not hitting my potential or not doing. But I kept doing it. And after a while, it doesn't feel so awkward. Saying I love you in the mirror each morning starts to feel warm and heartfelt. I kept doing it and start living in this constant state of love, happiness, and bliss. When you see the light and love in the mirror, it allows you to see light and love in everything and in everyone else. You get what you ask for in life. So stop asking for what you already have. When you're sitting there stressing about all the things going on, or like Mindy's saying, the stressful life that's going on, you counter that. You start a new narrative. I actually, the quote here, my quote on my little quote per day right here by Norman Vincent Peale, who has some great speeches if you ever check him out on YouTube. He said, if you want things to be different, perhaps the answer is to become different yourself. Your stressful life doesn't need to dictate how your days goes. Amazing is what creates the life that you want. And maybe you don't need to say it's going to be an amazing day. Maybe you say it's going to be a peaceful day, or it's going to be a productive day, or it's going to be an inspiring day. But for the first hour of the day, your life doesn't have to be stressful. Yes, there are stressors. And trust me, you know, Mindy Rose, but all of you, I get it. I get how stressful it is. I mean, if you've been to my workshops before, you've heard me say it, and I'll, say it for those of you who are new to Inspiration Nation. But, I have 7 kids. We moved to Vermont. I just listed our house for sale, outside Philadelphia. It hasn't sold yet. Closing the house here is contingent upon selling that house. I got like all of us, in a 8 of us in a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house, which was supposed to be temporary rental. And my wife ruptured her Achilles a few months ago. My son passed out. They're determining whether it's epilepsy. I got all kinds of, business. I have 2 businesses I'm running, but I have all kinds of challenges associated with those. I get it. I get it. I get how stressful it is. But the point is that these practices, just waking up and declaring that it's going to be an amazing day, or looking at yourself and saying, I love you in the mirror. We're going to go through other productive practices as well. But just those 2 things can be absolutely transformative in setting your intention for the day and loving yourself with compassion so that you don't feel that stressful life all the time anymore. You can say, I love you in the mirror every time you walk by a mirror. You can go walk into the bathroom and say it when you feel like you need it. But making a declaration from the moment your feet hit the floor is how you decide how your day goes. So, again, you get what you ask for in life. So you don't want to ask for what you already have, meaning, more stress, more challenges, more problems, because that's what you get when you think about it all the time. Start a new narrative. Put love and happiness on a continual loop in your mind. Maybe for you, it's stress. You want to counter that? Then put peace on a continual loop in your mind. Start the day seeing love in the mirror. Here are 4 absurdly easy ways to start living the life of your dreams. First, wake up. Second, look yourself in the mirror. Third, say, I love you. Fourth, repeat. Do this every single day after day, year after year. I know this seems silly, but you already do steps 1 and 2. You wake up and you already go into the bathroom and look in the mirror. Do steps 3 and 4. Look in the mirror, lock eyes with yourself, and say, I love you. It's that simple. If it's that simple and takes no more than 2 seconds each morning and costs nothing, then you can start doing it today. This can have such a huge impact on your happiness and sets the stage for a great day, regardless of what happens. So, here are some foundations for your epic morning ritual. You don't need to do all these. These are just a few, find a few that resonate. Okay. You know, stillness, awareness, intention, energy, and inspiration. Stillness, maybe that's breathing, silence, or meditation. Awareness, journaling, an emotional check-in, or even a physical check-in. Where are you holding tension in your body? Become aware of your thoughts as well as your body. Be the observer of your thoughts, not the thinker. Notice, hey, I'm thinking those things again. That's how you start transforming and change. Being aware of your thoughts, but also being aware of your body. Where are you holding tension? A lot of times our stress is held within the body. And when you notice where you're holding tension, you're able to breathe into that area or stretch that body or move that area in a way that allows you to release that tension. Next, we got intention. Set how you want to show up today and be absolutely clear. Like I said, promoted and joy were my intention for the day. So funny because I just met a guy yesterday named JP who I was thinking joy and promotion. I mean, promoted in life. Instead of being, exposed for your shortcomings, you get promoted for those things you do well. Energy. Take some light movement, drink some water, restore your body. You always want to hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. I say it over and over again. It's a great way to start the day. I keep my water bottle by the bed, walk to the bathroom with it after I've said it's going to be an amazing day and I love you in the mirror. I take some sips of water, hydrate, and light movement. Get some energy. Maybe you go for a walk. Maybe you take the dogs out. Maybe you do some stretching or some yoga or Pilates or something, or maybe you even go for a run. Inspiration, so important. Reading, a mantra, gratitude. I lay in bed. I didn't necessarily include this, as far as inspiration. I lay in bed even before I get up and say it's going to be an amazing day. And I repeat, what my intention is. I am, I am an inspirational speaker. I am a spiritual leader. I am a New York Times bestseller. I'm inspiring people to live the life of their dreams. I'm a loving husband and father. I say those over and over again, before I even get out of bed. That way I've started my day with intention. Next, here, I'm going to give you a couple other pointers if you want to incorporate these into your life and find them useful. I mentioned in here stillness. I start my day with a 30-minute meditation. Not that you need to do 30 minutes, but just, 5, 10, 15 minutes or more of making meditation a daily practice, particularly right after you wake up. It sets your intention for the day and allows you to be the person you see at the center of your soul when you close your eyes. Would you rather start your day by opening your eyes to read an email, a text, or social media? Or by closing your eyes to see who you're meant to be and figure out how to live well? If you want to really use the capacity of your brain to show you who you are meant to be and what you're capable of and your connection to the universe, then wake up and go within. Or as I say, close your eyes to see. Next, another great thing to add to your morning ritual, journaling. Once you're done meditating, or even if you don't meditate, just take 2 to 12 minutes to write down what you thought about, prayed on, or saw in your mind's eye. Write about your challenges, your hopes, your dreams, and your relationships. Write about the divine inspiration that you must act on. Write down that thing your inner voice always tells you over and over that you know you need to do. Just get it out of your mind and down on paper. The practice of journaling, it allows you um, to make your thoughts reality instead of just playing them over in your mind, knowing what you need to do or how you want to live. You get them out of your mind and down on paper, then you can take action. You can put it in your schedule once you've written it down. It makes it real. Yeah, I mean whatever, whether that's day or night, whenever you can do it is great. But it's a great morning routine. I actually do it in the morning and the evening. Now the evening I do very quickly. The evening I just do a quick my wins for the day, how I want to show up tomorrow, and my big three priorities for the next day, which we'll go through in just a little bit. Now, another great thing to add into your practice as well is scheduling in 60 to 90 minutes of flow on your top priority. I try to block my biggest priority that I've journaled the night before, and I try to block 60 to 90 minutes of my schedule early in my day to handle my biggest priority undistracted. Do something that your future self would do to get you to your big goal. If you haven't yet done it, join us for the Aligned Habits Workshop, which we do each month. I guess it'll probably be in 2 weeks if we're on the Epic Daily Ritual now. Um, you know, don't delay. Do it early in the day, preferably before noon. Doing the hardest thing first, as Brian Tracy describes in his book, Eat the Frog, or Eat That Frog, rather. If you get your biggest priorities done before noon, the rest of the day is smooth sailing and can be spent communicating with others and handling the minutia of life and work, answering those emails, scheduling phone calls, handling the Zooms. I try not to do those things first thing in the morning. I try to get an hour of flow in each day. Really, I've kind of moved it from an hour to 90 minutes, but if you can, schedule in time, block sacred time for getting into flow, handling your biggest priorities. Your daily big three priorities, which you heard me mention that I journal at night, those are your rocks. Those are the most critical actions that you can get done that day to move your goals and dreams forward. It helps if your big three priorities that you journaled the night before are aligned with your big annual, quarterly, and monthly goals. I mean, then you start really accelerating your progress. Don't just do menial tasks each day that keep you stuck on the hamster wheel. Don't get sucked into other people's distractions. Don't spend the day responding to emails and texts. Get your priorities done first. Take control of your life. Take big action to become who you're meant to be, to become your true self. So here's some tips for building your epic morning ritual. Some tips. First, consistency over perfection. Consistency over perfection. You don't need to check every single box every day. But the more you do, the faster you'll reconnect with your natural joyful state. And also start small. If 5 a.m. feels like a stretch for you, I generally get up at 5, meditate and journal, before anyone else is up. Like I said, we have a busy household, so I have to create that time. So if 5 feels like a stretch, start at 6. If journaling feels foreign, then just write down 3 things you're grateful for. Gratitude journal each day is great. Just 3 things that you're grateful for. Progress is the goal. So start small. And also anchor to your why for your morning ritual, your purpose. Again, if you're looking for, purpose, join our Aligned Habits Workshop to understand, um, what your true self, what your true purpose is. This isn't about productivity for productivity's sake. It's about living as your most joyful and impactful true self. The person in the mirror you truly want to see. And if you struggle to define your purpose, join that Aligned Habits Workshop, or we created a great course for that also, the True Self Project, which is just, it's a 30-day habit challenge. I know a couple of folks on here have already signed up for that, but try that out. We really go in depth on setting your intention and finding your purpose, and then creating the habits that are going to help get you there. It goes really deep on your purpose, goals, and habits. Next, use strategic ignorance. Block out all the noise of negativity, all the news, all the distractions. we may talk about it a little bit later, but we talk about it in our distractions workshop in depth about strategic ignorance. You don't need to know everything going on in the world. Choose what you feed your mind intentionally. Consume only positive content. Now, lastly, for your building blocks, your foundation for your morning rituals, make it sacred. Treat these inspired habits like a sacred ritual, not a chore. It's your daily devotion to becoming your true self and the fastest path to living the life of your dreams. So let's get into an exercise. Like I said when we started, get something to write with and something to write on. Let's work on building your morning ritual. And let's design it by um, pulling out your journal or your piece of paper right at the top, my morning ritual, and answer these three questions. How much time do I realistically have? And 10 to 30 minutes is okay, but you can also create more time. Like I said, I was never a morning person. I had to create time to make my life intentional. I had to create time so that I wasn't just getting up and then, having to go straight to waking up kids, getting kids off to school, and answering emails and texts. I had to find time. I created that time by getting up earlier. I get up at 5 now to make sure that I have time to live the life of my dreams, to take care of my intention for the day. So, um, you know, how much time do you realistically have? And then how do you want to feel after your morning ritual? And what are 3 to 5 practices that support that feeling? And I'll give you a couple minutes to work on those, maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Sorry, we're a little bit more pressed for time than we usually are today. By all means, join us again for another epic daily ritual if it feels a little rushed today, but I've got to end a half hour earlier than usual. So we're going to press it all in. Remember, using time as a tool, you can create time. You can get rid of so many things that have no purpose in your life, that don't make your life any better and are only distractions. If you think you don't have time, think about all the time that you can free up by getting rid of unnecessary things that don't allow you to live as your true self. And I encourage you to do these journal prompts after as well and start creating your epic daily ritual. Now, you can use the habit tracker that we've created. Like I have my habitually inspired habit tracker right here. I check it every morning. I have sleep by 10, wake by 5, meditate, journal, 90 minutes of flow. The things I talked about, I go through every day. I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years. And I don't stop because I have to constantly remind myself. Yeah, and let's keep going just because I know we're pressed for time and I gotta go in 16 minutes. So I'm sorry. Please join another epic daily ritual if you feel like today is a little pressed. Sorry to have to fly through it, but I want you to work on environment. I mean, maybe we'll put that slide up there and then go back, write these down, and then do that later. And that is, where will this happen? Where can you do your morning ritual? And also write down what is not allowed during this time. Where will this happen and what is not allowed during this time? Big hint here. Usually your phone is not allowed during that time. Now, I do what I do. I said I don't check my phone for the first hour of the day, but I do have it with me. And I do say, without opening the phone, I just hold down Siri and I say, set a timer for 30 minutes. And then I set it down and I do my 30-minute meditation. And I don't look at it during that time. Usually it goes off and I can't believe 30 minutes went by so fast, but I've been training doing meditation for years, but a few minutes. So anyway, if you can write these down, go back and journal these. Usually I would give you more time to do that, but we're running out of time. So where will this happen and where is it not? What is not allowed during that time. Next, we want to talk about designing your epic evening ritual. Your morning ritual is how you start your day with intention. But starting your day is only possible if you close the day strong the night before so that you're able to properly rest and reset. So these two rituals, they're bookends. They're at either end of your day, but they're completely linked together. The time before we go to sleep is vital in getting proper rest. Like our bodies digest our dinner while we sleep, our minds digest what we feed them before bed as well. If you go to bed worried, you wake up worried. If you go to sleep angry, you'll carry that anger with you into tomorrow. So if you go to bed absorbing horrible news stories, you'll probably feel anxious and on edge in the morning. If you're watching crime dramas like, CSI, you know, you're going to wake up thinking about, pain and anger and murder. I mean, you don't need to feed your brain these things before you go to bed. But the opposite is also true. If you go to bed feeling satisfied with your day, you wake up energized for what's ahead. If you journaled about what you want tomorrow to be like and set your intention for the next day, you'll awake with purpose and clarity. If you end your night with quality time with your family or doing things that help improve your life, then you'll wake up with love and gratitude. Our inputs shape our outputs. Your PM routine is all about closure. Most people end the day the same way they started it: overstimulated, distracted, unfinished. Your evening ritual is not about fixing the day or cramming in more work or numbing ourselves, meaning with alcohol, drugs, TV, news, doom scrolling. It's about closing the day strong. When I say the evening ritual, I mean, let's call this the last hour before you go to bed, if at all possible. It's about closing the day strong. It's about leaving behind your burdens and carrying forward your wins. When you don't close mental loops, your mind keeps working all night. When you don't celebrate your day, write down your wins, you won't maintain positive momentum tomorrow. The evening ritual says, today is complete. I'm ready for tomorrow. I can rest now. Remember we talked before about your nervous system being overstimulated, your brain being active, your chest tight, your spinal cord and your nerves all being tight. This is a way to rest and release. And, as an analogy, I love this video I saw by Prince EA. He's a great motivational speaker. I really like his work. And he said in one of his inspirational videos, he said, if you had $1 million thoroughbred racehorse, would you give it cigarettes, alcohol, and junk food and let it stay up all night watching TV? Great question, right? No, of course not. So why do we do this to ourselves? To our brains and to our bodies. I used to, have weed or a gummy or something, in the evening. Well, obviously I'd wake up slow and not on my game. Having a drink before bed. I mean, same thing. You wake up slow and not ready to start your day. You want to feed your body and your brain only the healthiest food and content. You're worth far more than a racehorse who lives in a stall. You're worth more than anything in the world. You are a human being who can do more than just run fast. You can create amazing things, and this world needs you to leave it better when you found it. Particularly right now, the world needs your light to shine brightly now more than ever. So here's some building blocks to build a strong foundation for your epic evening ritual. Choose what feels calming and supportive so you can close your day strong and wake up the next day with intention. That's why they're linked. They're bookends to the day, but they're totally linked. So reflection. You reflect on your wins. Like I said, journal your wins for the day. Maybe that's just getting up and doing something for yourself. Maybe it's a work related. Maybe it's, health, or maybe it's financial. Maybe it's just that you spent some time with your family. Just what are your wins for the day? Lessons you learned. Gratitude. Do a brain dump or emotional processing. How did I feel today? What did I go through? What interactions did I have? Where Could I have been in better control of my emotions? Or, where did I feel things deeply? Gratitude, journaling, express to others. Meditation, preparation, light planning for tomorrow. Like I said, I just look at my calendar real quick and I journal my big three priorities for the next day. I look at my goals for the month. And I say, where am I? What are my real priorities tomorrow? Light planning. Don't sit there getting stuck, reorganizing stuff and starting to do more work. It's not about more work. It's just quick planning for tomorrow. What are the big things you can do, your big three for the next day? And regulation, breathing, meditation, calming practices, placing your hand on your heart, looking in the mirror saying, I love you, focusing on the breath, just like we did when we first got grounded, when we first started. It's really important to be present. At night, you want to make an effort to be fully present with yourself and those you love. It means trying to eliminate distractions, especially the phone, which is a weapon of mass distraction. As a society, we're so distracted with all the apps, social media, texts, work emails, reminders, notifications on our phone that we're getting far removed from ourselves and our families. I use this quote in the distractions workshop, but I found it when I was writing my book. I came across, it says, your cell phone won't feel bad if you don't pay attention to it. It won't care if you haven't played with it for a while. It won't mind if you don't hold it. Your cell phone will be small forever. Your children will not. It's by Kim Uliana, who's a children's book uh, author. So powerful. Your cell phone will be small forever. Your children will not. I mean, I have little kids. I mean, I see, parents every day who are just facing the phone, not on the kids. For the sake of our loved ones, our children, our friends, our pets, our partners, ourselves, put down the phone, even for a few minutes, just to be fully present. Life is passing us by while we spend countless hours on these stupid devices that we call smartphones. So, best practice is don't use the phone for the first hour of the day and the last hour of the day. It allows you to disconnect from the distractions of the world and reconnect with yourself during the most important moments of your day. Is it more natural to fall asleep with your hand on your heart saying, I love you, as you fall off to blissful sleep? Or to doze off, with your, hand on your phone or on the remote while you binge watch Netflix shows, movies, like I said, with action and violence? Your brain is processing what you consume as you fall asleep. Feed your brain only positive content before you sleep. Read a book, exercise, or listen to something inspiring. Just get off the junk. Get off the phone and the news and the TV shows before bed. It does nothing for you and frees up more time. We say, hey, I can't find time to do these things. You just freed up an hour. You're just wasting numbing yourself. And here's some things you can do. You can do the PM journal, do the evening journal. Um, take a few minutes before bed, like I said, to write down three things: your wins for the day, how you want to show up the next day, how you want to show up tomorrow, and your big three priorities for the next day. Three things that you can get done and that hopefully are important. I don't know why that just did that. My camera has a mind of its own. Um, you journal these every night so that you can wake up clear, so that you can wake up aligned with your true self and your big goals. And these shouldn't be small tasks that you just need to get done. The journaling your big three for tomorrow is not just your little checklist of, I got to go to the dry cleaners and, I got to send 2 emails. Maybe it's that one email you got to send to that person who's going to absolutely change your life. It's the big three things that will help you live as your true self and achieve your big three goals. By journaling before bed, you allow your brain to work on your priorities while you sleep, and you know exactly where to go as soon as your feet hit the floor in the morning. There's no wondering how the day will go. Thomas Edison famously said, never go to sleep without a request of your subconscious. Why not let your brain work for you while you sleep? If it takes less than 3 minutes each night before you go to bed, you can definitely get it done. I mean, I just 3 minutes, I just real quick, my wins for the day, how I want to show up tomorrow, and my big three priorities for the next day. And next, I said I got like 4 minutes, so I got to get through this. But Chad will be able to wrap up as well. But you also want to get at least 7 hours of sleep. I don't know the exact science and data behind it, but our brains need roughly 7 hours of sleep to get into deep sleep, where your brain cleanses out mental clutter and your body repairs itself. And your nervous system also rebalances during that time. You know, creativity, clarity, patience, and emotional regulation all depend on how well you sleep. Uh, Also, you can review your habitually inspired habit tracker at night. I check off my habit tracker, review my day before I shut down. Remember when we started, I said your evening ritual is a way of saying, it's closing out the day, it's bringing completeness to it. You're able to fall into blissful sleep because you've closed your day, you've closed that loop, you're ready to be refreshed for the next day. Now, you want to build your evening rituals. And I think by the time that we wrap this up, yeah, why don't we do that, Chad? I'll get everyone going here. Actually, why don't we do this? Why don't you guys we're gonna work on creating our evening rituals. Um, but before we do that, Chad, is it okay if we wrap up if you let everyone do their epic evening ritual exercise and I'll sort of wrap up before that? And then you guys can do that and then go through some announcements. Does that sound fair? Um, all right, cool. Thanks. Yeah, guys, thank Chad. He keeps everything moving here and gets us all aligned here. I just want to say a few things before I got to jump, and then Chad will wrap it up. And that is the biggest ritual killer is not a lack of time. It's all or nothing thinking. Some days you'll do the full ritual, and some days you won't, and that's normal. What matters is having a sort of bare minimum version, the parts of your ritual that are sacred and non-negotiable. Now, you may miss those once or twice, but I meditate and journal almost every day, and I close with my evening journal, and most of the other things I do as well and get to all of them every day. But if I don't, that's okay. Make it sacred. Choose two or three aspects of your ritual that are most important to you and what you can do to protect that time. Remember, missing a day does not mean you failed. It means you return. You begin again. You create this so that you always have a center. You just return to your center. Don't beat yourself up. It's not always going to be perfect. You're able to just begin again. It's the beauty of the daily ritual. You get to impart meaning into every day. And when life feels overwhelming and chaotic, you can always look forward to grounding and presence of your next daily ritual. The ritual isn't something to do, it's something you become. It's becoming your true self. You're creating sacred time, not to escape your life, but to live it more fully. I invite you to commit to this as a 7-day experiment. Not forever, just 7 days. Try 7 days of committing to your epic daily ritual. While building strong habits takes longer than a week, you will see the benefits in just 7 days. These rituals impact your life immediately. More restful sleep, alignment and clarity in your daily life, and a strong foundation to return to when the overwhelm of modern life creeps in. So before I jump right now, just close your eyes for one final breath. Close your eyes with me and just ask yourself, who will I become when I honor myself with my epic daily ritual every day? So I'm going to jump. Chad's going to wrap up. Thank you for showing up for yourselves today. This is how change actually begins. Starting and ending each day with an epic daily ritual gets you to the epic life you deserve. Bless you. I love you all so much. I hope to see you tomorrow on our Inspiration Nation Community Happy Hour. And bless you, and you're in good hands with Chad. I will see you hopefully next week for our next workshop.
Hi, everybody. This is Chad. Thank you so much for being here. Me and Ben have so much fun putting these on, and it's even better when you guys participate. And this has been a really fun one. So, I'm going to wrap up the workshop for Ben. This is the part one of the last exercise that we have today, and that's building your PM ritual. So take it back out that piece of paper, write my evening ritual, and then under that, answer these three questions. First, how much time do I want here? You're setting the time for your evening ritual. For context here, mine is a half hour. I generally don't have much more time than that. But set whatever feels right to you. I know most people do around an hour would be the average. Next is how do I want to feel when going to bed? You know, do I want to feel at peace? Do I want to feel confident? And that's the feeling you're going to bring with you into the next day. So keep that in mind as well. And lastly, which 3 to 5 practices support that feeling? Meaning, how can you set that evening ritual up? What are the pieces of that ritual that are going to make you feel that way as you go to bed? Take a few minutes. I'm going to put some music on and answer that. After that, we will be wrapping up and I'll come back with some announcements. All right. I think we're going to start pulling focus into ending the workshop here. I hope that everybody really enjoyed that. And like Ben said, you know, most of the time there's another half hour to this workshop. I hope that everyone's able to come back next time we do the Epic Daily Ritual. You can also check out past recordings of the workshop on YouTube. If you search Ben Parvey, there's playlists for each kind of workshop that we have. They're all accessible there, but nothing beats the live experience. So you got the best one here. As we wrap up, this is another thing that we're going to send along to you in the slides, but this is going to be the next part of that. And you might want to write this down. We're not going to dedicate time to it right now, but you might want to come back to this later. And that's what habit or behavior needs to stop at night, you know, which is equally important. A lot of times getting time back means taking time from something else that might be not serving you as much as your nightly ritual would be. And then what signals the end of my day? You know, what's that last thing that you have to do? Mine is take my dog out and lock up my house. That is the signal at the end of my day. My responsibilities are done. So think about that a little bit as we go towards nighttime and you get to try your nightly ritual for the first time. We are unfortunately going to have to skip over this section just due to time constraints, but I think we can hop forward to our True Self project. Ben mentioned this earlier. This is a 30-day habit challenge every day. There's essentially a video, a journal prompt, and an exercise. They take 20 to 30 minutes a day to do. And it's $30 the whole 30 days, you know, $1 per day. We wanted to make it really inexpensive so anybody could access it. The QR code is there. You can also just go on Ben's website, benparvey.com, and find it there as well. Follow Ben on socials. Just search Ben Parvey on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or LinkedIn. And like Ben mentioned, join us tomorrow for happy hour. These are every Friday at noon. It's a great way to just end the week by kind of unloading the burden of the week, reflecting on the wins that you had, and also planning for next week. And it's such a positive, uplifting group, and we always have a good time. So I hope that everyone will be able to join us tomorrow for that. And you know, that's pretty much it for today's workshop. We will be sending along a recap email that has the recording, the slides, as well as any resources that we mentioned on this workshop, like the habit tracker, and as well as an invitation to the community happy hour that's happening tomorrow at noon. Thank you for joining us. If you have some feedback for us, we would absolutely love that. There's a QR code there on your screen. I'm also going to drop in the chat a link, and this is just to a quick survey. If anyone is interested or has the time, you can let us know how you felt, and also let us know what you would like to hear more of from Ben, or some topics maybe that you would like to hear Ben talk about in the future. We're open to lots of things, so let us know. Thank you again so much for being here and taking the time. I hope you got a lot out of this workshop. And I hope to see you all tomorrow and next week for our next workshop, which will be our faith workshop. And you can check that out on benparvey.com.